You're locked into the
2PRO1SLOW podcast.
We might as well. We'll go into a bit more detail since we're sat here talking. Basically.
Yeah, I'd like some
Our
detail.
bikes did turn well. Our parts for our bikes didn't turn up at all. Well, most of them didn't turn up at all. In the end, the engines did turn up, but it was there that late. I didn't even bother putting it in. I was just did a car park test.
I just watched the Redbull one that they put out for the weekend, and Manny did swap his engine.
Yeah, Manny swapped. So basically, we'll go from the start. So we weren't going to TKO, then we were going, then we weren't going, then we were going, and then like the week before the race, we decided we were going. So then they shipped engines and suspension and hard parts and everything from Europe straight to the race for them to arrive. And then like we flew the Thursday before the race, and it got to like the Wednesday, and we were like waiting for confirmation that the parts had turned up and stuff, because we didn't know if we were going to have to fly with them ourselves and kit bags and stuff. And they're like, no, they've arrived. They're at customs. They're gonna take a day or so, and then they're going to be cleared. It's fine. You don't need to bring anything from home. Whatever, relax. So then we flew there, chilled. Got there the next day, which was like Thursday afternoon. Like, any parts yet? Nah, still at customs, but they're going to get released at 9 o'clock when it opens tomorrow morning. So then one of the mechanics went there that night. It was like 3 hours from the race to customs office, wherever it was, Atlanta, I think it was. And yeah, got to like the end of the day on the Friday, and they're like, the mechanic's still parked outside and they still haven't released any parcels.
So they'd landed in the country?
So no, they were in the country from before we got there. They were in the country all along. They were just in the process of customs, obviously COVID and whatever else. Yeah, Brexit probably doesn't help. No, obviously not, because they got shipped from Austria. Yeah, it's a fucking dickhead.
You two are so far behind me that you don't even catch on with these jokes.
It's only because he knows
Honestly,
that word.
They do
He's
it
heard it
all
on the
the
news.
time. They look at me like I'm the silly one, and then they work out that I've played them and realise that
Just
I'm
shut
the
up.
clever one.
I'm on getting on with my story. So anyway, this is Friday night, and then Saturday the racing starts. And I'd seen in the Husky truck, there was already two of Colton's bikes, and Colton wasn't racing. He's injured at the minute. So got to like Friday night, and I was like, let's just change the grips and change the suspension on this bike, because WP USA had already made some suspension, even though it's not the same as like what we have in Europe. So we're still sent stuff from Europe, but in the end I said, just put the stuff they've made in this bike and that'll do for me. I'll go and at least I can then test it tomorrow, rather than wait the whole day the next day hoping stuff would turn up, or if it would turn up or whatever, for a bike which I still wasn't used to anyway. So I said, let's just put it in. So I ended up doing that and then testing it on the Saturday, like midday, once they'd changed the suspension and everything over, and I was pretty happy with my bike. Didn't sound great, and they had motocross gearbox in, which I wasn't really very used to, and yeah, quite a bit different, but in the end it was actually pretty good, so I was happy with mine. Manny tested his, and to be fair, his bike was really slow. We're riding next to each other on a road, and I was like, oh fuck me, your bike doesn't sound good. Didn't have much power. So the engines were the only thing that did arrive. I think out of 11 parcels that were in customs, I think 2 or 3 turned up to the actual race. So we all had engines each, but I was pretty happy with my bike, so I chose not to change it. I just ran with Colton stuff, full US spec. I thought, because of the way the race was, with it being so short and so difficult, like we're all going to be blowing out our arse and surviving after one lap anyway.
I've got a similar story to this. Do you remember when in Des Nations, when our engines didn't bite, and I rode the US spec one as well?
You did.
Oh, that's funny, that,
Yeah, similar story.
So anyway, yeah, Manny changed his and just got into straight with him at the last minute. He we waited for like 10 minutes because he was getting ready. I think Taddy changed and got his engine as well, but me and Alfredo just ran with the Americans. We were quite happy with our bikes, so that was that. Didn't know if you needed to know that, but it hasn't really been explained in full in the vlog. You just kind of go, we've got no parts, we've still got no parts, we're going to ride this bike. Doesn't really explain things. So stuff did get sent, it just got stuck at customs. I don't know if it's been released from customs or
I'm guessing they're going to try and send it back to you now.
Yeah, so I guess it would just get released, and in the US KTM and Husky people would send it back. I think 2 of the parcels were actually missing. They could only hadn't arrived yet. When at the customs place, they said there's 9 here and there's meant to be 11. So either there's some border patrol officers got some new suspension or new tyres for the bike. A mishmash.
We've also filmed another thing that you can tell them about.
Yeah, on the subject of TKO, me and Tommy did a voiceover of my last 2 laps from TKO. the second last lap's a bit boring, but then the last one gets quite exciting. That'll be on my channel. They'll probably before this, but anyway,
probably out by now.
It's probably out by now. So if you want to go and watch my GoPro from TKO and get my perspective from things, that's on there.